You have said things you can never take back. You have burned bridges that were never rebuilt. You have felt that sickening, white-hot flash of adrenaline, the moment your logic disconnects and your anger takes the wheel. You have lost control. And in that moment, you have lost, period. You have also then on the other side. You have frozen. You have felt the words clog in your throat, your mind go blank, a tidal wave of pressure pinning you to your seat. You have failed to defend yourself. You have failed to speak your mind. You have walked away from a confrontation feeling small, unseen, and railroaded, replaying the scenario in your mind for hours, thinking of all the perfect things you should have said. This, too, is a failure of calm. We live in a world of constant friction, from the high-stakes boardroom negotiation to the unexpected personal criticism, from the passive-aggressive email to the outright public argument. Confrontation is not an if, it is a when. It is an unavoidable part of the human experience. And in these moments, your entire life, your entire career, and your entire sense of self can be defined in less than 30 seconds. In those 30 seconds, we are betrayed. We are betrayed by our own biology. We are hijacked by a primitive system that knows only 3 responses: fight, flight, or freeze. The blood leaves our reasoning brain and floods our muscles. Our heart hammers against our ribs. Our vision narrows. We are, in that moment, no longer a modern, rational human being. We are a cornered animal. So we lash out. We raise our voice. We say things that are cruel, exaggerated, or simply untrue, all in a desperate attempt to win. Or we shut down. We capitulate. We surrender our boundaries, our respect, and our position, all for the simple, desperate need to make the confrontation stop. The aftermath is always the same. It is the cold wave of regret. It is the shame that washes over you as the adrenaline recedes, leaving you shaky and depleted. It is the apology you have to make later, the respect you have to rebuild, the credibility you have to re-earn. It is the hollow gut feeling of self-loathing, the quiet, repeating question, why do I let this happen? Why can't I control myself? We build entire identities around this failure. We tell ourselves lies to make the failure feel inevitable. We say, I'm just a passionate person. We say, I have a hothead. We say, I'm not built for confrontation. We treat our emotional reactivity as if it were a permanent, unchangeable part of our personality, like the color of our eyes or our height. We believe that some people are just born with a calm demeanor, and the rest of us are simply fated to be reactors. This is the single most debilitating lie you will ever tell yourself. Calmness is not a personality trait. It is a trainable skill. The unshakable person you admire, the one who can absorb a personal insult without flinching, who can dismantle a faulty argument with surgical precision, who can command a room not with volume but with presence, that person was not born that way. They are not a genetic anomaly. They are a builder. They have, through practice, intention, and training, forged their emotional control. They have built a shield. They have cultivated an anchor. Their calm is not an absence of feeling. It is a mastery of it. This audiobook is the forge. This is your training. We are not here to offer you simplistic, empty advice. You will not find platitudes here. We will not tell you to just count to 10 or take a deep breath. A single breath has never stopped a true emotional hijacking. We are here to do something far more profound. We are here to fundamentally rewire your response to pressure. We are here to dismantle the automatic, primitive reactor inside you and replace it with a composed, sovereign, and strategic architect. This is not a manual for avoiding conflict. This is a manual for winning it. And let us be clear about what winning means. Winning is not about shouting down your opponent. It is not about proving you are right. It is not about defending your ego. Winning is remaining in complete, centered control of your mind, your words, and your actions while the world around you descends into chaos. Winning is the ability to think clearly while someone else is trying to make you emotional. Winning is walking away from an encounter not with your heart pounding and your mind racing, but with your dignity intact and your objective achieved. The person who controls their own state controls the room. They control the narrative. They control the outcome. The world does not make way for the loudest voice. It makes way for the most stable center of gravity. Over the next 10 chapters, we will embark on a journey of transformation. We will not just skim the surface. We will go to the very root of your reactivity. First, we will explore the storm inside. We will go deep into the physiology and psychology of that hijacking. You cannot defeat an enemy you do not understand. We will study the mechanics of your own triggers so you can see the storm coming before it ever makes landfall. Next, we will detonate the myth of the hothead. We will destroy the false identity that has given you permission to lose control. You will learn to take radical ownership of your emotional state, understanding that your responses are not destiny, they are a choice. From there, we will build your defense. In the shield of detachment, you will learn the art of objective observation, creating a crucial space between the stimulus and your response. You will learn to see an attack not as a threat in which you are a participant, but as a performance in which you are an audience member. Then we will forge the anchor in the chaos. This is where we master the physical self. We will learn practical, powerful techniques to manage the adrenaline surge in the moment, grounding yourself physiologically so your mind can remain clear and operational. Once your defenses are built, we will turn to the true enemy, your own mind. In starving the ego, we will confront the dangerous internal need to be right, to have the last word, and to protect your self-image. You will learn that true power is not in winning an argument, it is in choosing not to be consumed by it. From that place of internal control, we will rebuild your offense. In the language of control, you will learn how to use your words as tools of de-escalation, not weapons of aggression. You will master the tone, pacing, and phrasing that diffuses tension and commands respect. In reading the hidden battlefield, you will develop advanced emotional intelligence. You will learn to stop listening to what people are saying and start understanding why they are saying it. You will learn to see the unmet needs, the fear, and the motivations hidden beneath the anger of others. Then we will master the power of the controlled response. This is the art of strategic action. You will learn when to use silence, when to ask a direct question, and how to set a firm, unshakable boundary calmly and definitively. We will pressure test these skills in grace under fire. We will walk through the most difficult scenarios, the ambush in a meeting, the public confrontation, the deeply personal attack from a loved one, and build precise frameworks for managing each one. Finally, in the unshakable self, we will integrate these skills not as things you do, but as a fundamental part of who you are. You will cease to be a person who is trying to stay calm. You will simply be calm. This mastery will radiate from you, changing not only how you handle conflict, but how you are perceived by everyone you meet. This process is not for the faint of heart. It will require you to be honest. It will require you to be vigilant. It will require you to confront the parts of yourself that you have hidden or made excuses for. But the person on the other side of this journey is the person you were always meant to be. The leader, the partner, the parent, the colleague, the person who is a source of stability in a world of chaos. The person who does not react, but leads. The rewards are immeasurable. The respect you will gain from others, the opportunities that will open up to you, and, most importantly, the deep, profound, and permanent sense of peace you will feel within yourself. The next confrontation is coming. It is inevitable. The only question is, who will you be when it arrives? Will you be the reactor or the architect, the victim or the victor? Let's begin the work. Have you ever asked yourself, in the quiet, hollow moment after the explosion, who was that? Who was that person who raised their voice, whose hands were shaking, whose words were laced with a venom you didn't recognize? Who was that person who agreed to something they didn't want, who said, "It's fine," when it wasn't? whose silence was a betrayal of their own convictions. It didn't feel like you. It felt like you were a passenger, a spectator watching helplessly as someone else, or something else, seized your controls and spoke with your voice. This is the most critical and least understood part of any confrontation. Before you can ever hope to control an external situation, you must first understand the internal mechanism that robs you of your own power. You must understand the hijack. You must map with unflinching honesty the tempest that rages within you. This chapter is that map. We are not here to judge your anger or your fear. We are here to dissect it, to understand its machinery, so we can finally learn to operate it. The person who takes over in that moment of pressure is not a monster. It is a sentinel. Deep in the oldest, most primitive part of your brain, in the part that still remembers the ancient savannas and the shadow of the predator, lives a guardian. Its only job, its entire purpose for existing, is to keep you alive. It has been brilliantly successful at this job for hundreds of thousands of years. This sentinel is not rational. It is not logical. It does not care about your career goals. It does not care about your relationship stability. It does not care about your reputation. It has only one binary question: threat or no threat. In the modern world, this system is a profound liability. This ancient sentinel, this guardian at the gates, cannot tell the difference between a physical threat, a genuine danger to your life, and a psychological threat. It cannot differentiate between a tiger in the grass and a critical email from your boss. It cannot distinguish between a physical attack and a condescending tone from your partner. To this sentinel, an attack on your ego is the same as an attack on your body. A threat to your social standing is the same as a threat to your survival. And so, when that line is crossed, when that perceived threat appears, the sentinel does not consult you. It does not pause to ask for your opinion. It pulls a biological panic alarm. This is the fight, flight, or freeze response. And it is not a feeling. It is not an emotion in the way you think of it. It is a violent physiological transformation. It is a full-body event. The moment the alarm is pulled, your body is instantly flooded with a powerful chemical cocktail, primarily adrenaline and cortisol. Your blood is rerouted. It is pulled away from your digestive system. You don't need to digest lunch when you're running for your life, and away from your rational brain. The blood is sent in a rush to your major muscle groups, your legs, your arms, your chest. It is preparing you to fight or to run. Your heart rate instantly skyrockets, hammering against your ribs, pumping this fuel through your system. Your pupils dilate, narrowing your vision to a single point, the threat. This is why, in a heated argument, the rest of the room seems to disappear. Your hearing can dull, replaced by the sound of your own blood rushing. Your palms sweat, your skin cools. Your breathing becomes rapid and shallow, optimized for a short, desperate burst of energy. In the space of less than a second, you have ceased to be a modern, rational executive, partner, or friend. You have become a biological weapon, primed for one thing and one thing only: survival. This is the fight response, the lashing out, the yelling, the insults, the aggression. It is the primitive brain screaming, "I will destroy this threat." This is the flight response, the sudden urge to leave, the avoidance, the capitulation, the inability to speak, the desperate need to make the confrontation end. It is the primitive brain screaming, "I must escape this threat." And this is the freeze response, the awful, paralyzing blankness. Your mind goes empty. The words won't come. You are rooted to the spot, a target, unable to defend yourself or even think. It is the primitive brain overwhelmed by the threat, choosing to play dead. This is what you are up against. This is the storm inside. It is ancient, it is powerful, and it is fast. It is faster than your conscious thought. You do not choose this response. It happens to you. Let's look even deeper. Let's look at the specific hardware. The part of your brain that pulls this alarm is called the amygdala. You can think of it as the body's primary smoke detector. It is a small, almond-shaped cluster of neurons, and it is hypervigilant. It is constantly scanning your environment, what you see, what you hear, and comparing it to a database of past dangers. The rational, logical part of your brain is the prefrontal cortex. This is the CEO of your mind. It's the part right behind your forehead. It is the seat of your personality, your impulse control, your long-term planning, your empathy, and your ability to understand consequences. In a normal, non-threatening situation, the system works beautifully. The amygdala, the smoke detector, smells a little smoke. It sends a calm signal to the prefrontal cortex, the CEO. The CEO analyzes the data and says, "That's not a fire. That's just the toaster. Stand down. Everything is fine." But in a confrontation, the amygdala doesn't just sense smoke, it perceives an inferno. And it does not send a polite memo to the CEO. It hits a giant red panic button that triggers a total system override. We call this the amygdala hijack. The moment this hijack occurs, the neural pathways between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex are severed. The connection is cut. The CEO is locked out of the building. The prefrontal cortex, the only part of your brain that can understand nuance, that can predict the long-term consequences of your words, that can empathize with the other person's perspective, that can stop you from saying that one terrible relationship-ending thing, is chemically and biologically taken offline. You are now being piloted exclusively by the primitive, emotional, survival-driven amygdala. This is why you say things you do not mean. The part of your brain that means things is not in control. This is why you cannot just be logical. The part of your brain that handles logic has been intentionally sidelined by a system that believes logic is too slow for a life-or-death situation. This is why, later, when the chemical flood recedes, you look back on the event and think, "That wasn't me." You are, in a very real sense, correct. It wasn't the you that you identify with. It was the sentinel. It was the amygdala. It was a biological machine that has been programmed for survival, not for social grace. This hijack is universal. It happens to everyone. But this brings us to the next crucial question. If the mechanism is the same for everyone, why are the triggers so different? Why can one person absorb a piece of harsh criticism, while for you, that same criticism triggers a full-scale meltdown? Why does one person feel nothing when they are interrupted, while for you, it feels like an act of profound disrespect that demands a fight response? The biological hijack is the gun, but your personal history, your past, is what pulls the trigger. From the day you are born, your brain is learning. It is creating pathways. It is building a complex map of the world. And it is building, most importantly, a map of pain. Every experience you have, especially those with a strong emotional charge, carves a path in your mind. Think of it like water flowing down a hill. The first time, it's just a trickle. But if the same event happens again, if you are criticized in the same way, if you are ignored in the same way, if you are made to feel small in the same way, the water flows down that same path. Over years of repetition, that path is no longer a trickle. It is a groove. It is a canyon. It becomes a deep, reflexive, automated neural pathway. It becomes a program. These are your triggers. They are the emotional tripwires installed in your psyche by your past. They are the wounds that never fully healed, and your amygdala, your sentinel, has built a fortress around them. When someone's words or actions come near one of those ancient wounds, the sentinel doesn't perceive a simple disagreement. It perceives a direct, mortal attack on that vulnerable, unhealed part of you. And it responds with overwhelming, disproportionate force. When your boss questions your data, you are not reacting to your boss. You are reacting to the high school teacher who called you stupid in front of the entire class. The groove is activated. The amygdala screams. When your partner is quiet and distant, You are not reacting to their current mood. You are reacting to the profound fear of abandonment you felt as a child. The canyon is flooded. The amygdala screams. When someone accuses you of being selfish, you are not reacting to their feedback. You are reacting to a lifetime of being told your needs don't matter. The tripwire is hit. The amygdala screams. Your reaction is disproportionate to the present event because you are not in the present event. You are in every past event that carved that groove. You are reacting with the combined emotional force of every time that wound has ever been touched. This is why your loss of control feels so automatic, because it is automatic. It is a deeply programmed, high-speed, reflexive action designed to protect your oldest, deepest vulnerabilities. So, let us be perfectly clear. This is the fundamental truth of this chapter, the realization upon which all future control is built. Your loss of control is not a moral failing. Read those words again. Your loss of control is not a moral failing. You are not weak, you are not a bad person. You are not out of control or a hothead or broken. You are a human being, equipped with an ancient, high-speed survival mechanism that is running on subjective software programmed by your past experiences. This is a mechanical problem. It is a biological process. It is a system default. And you have been blaming yourself for a mechanism you don't even understand. The shame you feel after an outburst is misplaced. The self-loathing you feel when you freeze is a waste of your precious energy. You are not bad. You are simply unskilled. You are an untrained operator of a highly sophisticated and highly volatile piece of biological machinery. This realization is the end of shame. It is the beginning of power. You cannot fix a problem that you have defined incorrectly. You cannot will yourself to be calmer, just as you cannot will yourself to have a different color of eyes. You have been trying to solve a mechanical problem with a moral solution. It will never work. The goal is not to stop the storm. You cannot stop the clouds from forming. You cannot stop the rain from falling. The human body will always have an emotional response to a perceived threat. The goal is to become the master of that response. The goal is to feel the first rush of adrenaline and not be hijacked by it. The goal is to see the trigger, to feel the pull of that ancient groove, and to choose a different path. You are not the storm. You are the sky. You are the one who observes it. From this moment forward, we move from shame to curiosity. We move from "what is wrong with me" to "how does this system work and how do I take the controls?" Your reaction is not a personal failure. It is a biological signal. You have been letting that signal dictate your life. Now, you will learn to interpret that signal, to manage it, and to master it. How many times have you said it? Perhaps in a quiet apology after the damage was done, or in a moment of frustrated self-reflection, you have let the word slip out. "I'm sorry. That's just the way I am. I just have a short fuse. I'm a hothead. I'm an anxious person. I'm just not good with conflict." We use these phrases as if they are confessions, as if we are revealing a fundamental, unchangeable truth about ourselves, like our blood type or our place of birth. We wear these labels as a strange badge of honor, a flawed but honest explanation for our behavior. This chapter is about one thing: dismantling that lie. The belief that your emotional reactivity is a fixed part of your personality is the single greatest obstacle to your progress. It is a cage you have built for yourself, and you are holding the key, refusing to use it. It is the story you tell yourself that gives you permission to fail before you even begin. This is the myth of the hothead. It is the myth of the non-confrontational person. It is the myth that your emotional responses are a destiny rather than a decision. Let's be clear. Your identity is not the source of your behavior. Your behavior is the source of your identity. You are not a hothead who gets angry. You are a person who practices anger, And you have become so good at it, so consistent in your performance, that you have mistaken the role you are playing for the actor you are. This is a critical distinction. A role can be recast. A habit can be broken. A skill can be learned. But an identity? An identity is a life sentence. Why do we cling to these labels so tightly? Why do we defend them? Because they are comfortable. There is a strange, perverse comfort in the label. If I am just an angry person, then I am absolved of responsibility. I am no longer required to do the excruciatingly difficult work of changing. My outburst is not a failure of control. It is an expression of my nature. It is inevitable. I am, in this narrative, a victim of my own personality. This mindset is a lazy surrender. It is an abdication of power disguised as self-awareness. The same is true for the other side of the coin. The person who freezes, who avoids, who cannot speak up. I'm just not a confrontational person. This label feels safe. It feels like humility, like a preference for peace. But what is it truly? It is an excuse to allow your boundaries to be violated. It is a pre-written permission slip to be a doormat. It is a justification for failing to advocate for yourself, your ideas, and your worth. This, too, is a comfortable cage. Today, that cage is being dismantled. We are replacing this false identity with a liberating truth. Calmness is a trainable skill. It is not a gift. It is not a genetic lottery. It is not a personality trait bestowed upon a fortunate few. It is a discipline. It is a practice. It is a system that can be learned, honed, and mastered, just like learning to play a musical instrument or speak a new language. The person you admire for their unshakable poise under pressure is not a different species of human. They are simply a different practitioner. They have, consciously or unconsciously, put in the repetitions. They have trained their minds, and you have not. This is possible because of a fundamental property of your brain, neuroplasticity. This is the scientific stake in the "that's just me" myth. For decades, we believed the brain was fixed by early adulthood, that the grooves and pathways we carved in our youth were permanent. We were wrong. The brain is not stone, it is clay. Neuroplasticity is the brain's proven, documented ability to reorganize itself, to form new neural connections, and to change its own structure in response to new behaviors, new thoughts, and new experiences. Every time you learn a new fact, every time you practice a new physical motion, you are physically rewiring your brain. You are strengthening some connections and weakening others. This is the exact same mechanism required for emotional control. In Chapter 1, we talked about the grooves and canyons carved by your past, the automated pathways that lead to your hijack. Neuroplasticity is the tool we will use to pave over those old roads and build new, high-speed superhighways. When you say, "I am a hothead," you are telling your brain, "I want to keep this canyon. I want to make it deeper. Every time the rain comes, I want all the water to flow right down this path of anger." Your brain, obedient, reinforces the pathway. When you stop saying that, when you begin to practice a new response, you are telling your brain, "We are building a new road." It starts here. The first time you do it, it will be incredibly difficult. It will feel unnatural. It will be like hacking a new path through a dense jungle with a small machete. The old 8-lane highway of your anger will be right beside you, smooth and fast and tempting. Your amygdala will be screaming at you, "Take the old road, it's faster, it's us." This is the moment of choice. Every time you resist the old pathway, every time you feel the flash of anger and choose to pause, to breathe, to not speak, you have laid down the first paving stone on the new road. Every time you choose a different response, a calm question, a moment of silence, a strategic detachment, you have laid another. And, just as importantly, every time you don't use the old road, it begins to fall into disrepair. Weeds grow over it, the asphalt cracks. The brain, being ruthlessly efficient, begins to prune the connections you no longer use. This is not a metaphor. This is a biological process. You are literally, physically re-architecting the wetware of your own mind. This brings us to the two identities you can choose to inhabit. You are, from this moment forward, either a reactor or an architect. The reactor is the identity you have been living. The reactor is passive. They are a consequence of their environment. They live at the mercy of their triggers. A difficult email makes them angry. A critical boss makes them anxious. A confrontational partner makes them shut down. The reactor's language is one of victimhood. You made me yell. I had no choice. It's just the way I am. The reactor believes their feelings are something that happened to them, like bad weather. They are a ship without a rudder, tossed around by the storms of external events. This is a life defined by stimulus and response. It is the life of an animal. It is the life of a program. The architect is the identity you will now build. The architect is active. They are a creator of their environment. The architect understands that there is a critical, microscopic space between the stimulus and the response. In that space, that single, sovereign pause that may last only a tenth of a second, lies the entirety of human freedom. The architect does not see a trigger. They see information. A difficult email is received. The reactor feels anger. The architect observes the anger rising, inspects it, and then decides what to do with that information. A critical boss speaks. The reactor feels defensive. The architect observes the defensiveness, understands it as an ego response, sets it aside, and chooses to listen for any useful data within the criticism. The architect's language is one of ownership. I chose to respond that way. I am in control of my state. I will build a more effective response. The architect is a builder. They are a designer. They understand that their emotional state is not a default they must accept, but a structure they are responsible for creating. The shift from reactor to architect begins with one single, non-negotiable principle: radical ownership. Radical ownership is the complete, total, and terrifying acceptance that your emotional response is 100% your responsibility. Let us be very clear about what this does and does not mean. It does not mean the other person's behavior was acceptable. It does not mean they weren't rude, unfair, or provocative. It does not mean you are to blame for the situation. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. The provocation is their choice. The response is yours. The reactor focuses on the provocation. I can't believe they said that. They yelled at me first. This focus is an act of surrender. It is handing the keys to your emotional state to the other person and saying, "You are in charge of me. Your behavior will determine my behavior." The architect focuses on the response. They are yelling. That is their choice. I will not join them in that chaos. I choose to remain calm. Radical ownership is taking the keys back. It is the understanding that no one can make you angry. No one can make you feel anything. They can only create a stimulus. The feeling, the emotion, the reaction, that is a process that happens inside you. And any process that happens inside you, you can eventually control. When you blame another person for your emotional state, you have given them power over you. You have made them your master. When you take ownership of your emotional state, you become your own master. So how do we begin? We do not begin in the heat of battle. That is a fight you are not yet trained to win. You would not send a brand new soldier to the front lines. You begin in the aftermath. You begin with a new form of debriefing. Up until now, your debriefing has been one of self-flagellation, "I'm such an idiot," or blame, "They are such a jerk." Both are useless. Your new debriefing is that of an architect reviewing a blueprint. It is a dispassionate, curious audit. The next time you lose control, The next time you freeze, you will wait until the adrenaline has faded. You will find a quiet moment and you will ask yourself 3 new questions. Not, why am I like this? You will ask, what was the exact trigger? Be precise. Was it a specific word? Was it the tone of voice? Was it the interruption? Was it the look in their eyes? Identify the precise stimulus. What did I feel physiologically first? Before the emotion, what was the physical sensation? A heat in your chest? A tightness in your throat? A cold drop in your stomach? This is the first signal from the sentinel. What was the story I told myself in that split second? This is the most important question. The trigger is not the event. The trigger is the interpretation of the event. When they interrupted you, what story did your brain instantly play? They don't respect me. I'm being attacked. I'm looking stupid. That story is what activated the amygdala. This is the initial work. You are not trying to fix anything yet. You are simply gathering intelligence. You are mapping the old wiring. You are observing the flawed design of the reactor. You cannot build a new structure until you understand the old one. The hothead is a myth. The passive person is a fabrication. They are not who you are. They are a set of habits you have practiced. They are a role you have rehearsed to perfection. Today is the end of that rehearsal. You are not a finished sculpture, forever defined by the flaws in the marble. You are the sculptor. You have the chisel in your hand. The identity you have been carrying is a cage, and the door has been unlocked this entire time. It is time to walk out. You feel the pull. It is an almost physical sensation, like a hook in your chest, dragging you into the fray. The moment the other person's voice raises, the moment the accusation is made, you feel your own center of gravity vanish. You are pulled out of yourself and into their emotional whirlpool. Their anger instantly ignites yours. Their anxiety becomes your own. Their panic sparks your defensiveness. You have, in that instant, become fused with your opponent. You have lost all perspective. You are no longer you. You are one half of a chaotic, dysfunctional dance. You have lost the boundary between where they end and where you begin. This is the state of emotional fusion. It is the default state of the reactor. It is the single biggest reason you lose control. You cannot manage a situation when you are consumed by it. You cannot think your way through a fire when you have become the fuel. This chapter is about the creation of space. It is the single most powerful, foundational tool in your new arsenal. Before you can master your physiology, before you can master your words, you must first master your perspective. We are going to build your shield. Let us be clear about what this shield is. It is not a wall. It is not a cold, unfeeling barrier of apathy that turns you into a robot. A wall is brittle. A wall can be broken. A wall just makes you a bigger target. This is something far more advanced. It is a shield of detachment. It is not the detachment of, I don't care. It is the detachment of, I will not be controlled. It is not the detachment of, this doesn't matter. It is the detachment of, the outcome of this matters too much for me to let my ego destroy it. This shield is a filter. It is a new way of seeing. It is the skill of objective observation. It is the ability to separate the stimulus from your response, the facts from the feeling, and the person from the problem. This skill is what allows you to stand in the very center of an emotional hurricane and be the one unmoving, stable point. It is the ability to be in the confrontation but not of it. How do we build this? We must, in the heat of the moment, change your role. You must move from being the actor in the scene to being the director in the chair. Think about this. An actor on a set, deep in a stressful scene, is lost in the moment. They are feeling the rage, the fear, the pressure. Their world is small, confined only to what is right in front of them. The other actor, the lines they must remember, the raw emotion they must project. They are inside the story, and because they are inside it, they have no true perspective. The director, however, is in a different place. The director is sitting in a quiet, dark room watching the exact same scene on a monitor. The director sees everything. They see the actor, yes, but they also see the lighting. They see the camera angles. They see the sweat on the actor's brow. They see the other actor in the scene waiting for their cue. They are observing the entire event, not just one part of it. The director is not emotionally fused with the scene. They are detached from it. Because they are detached, they are in complete control. They can see what is working, what is not, and what needs to happen next. If the scene goes off the rails, the director does not panic and jump into the scene to start yelling. They calmly say, "Cut." They analyze the problem, give a clear instruction, and reset the scene. This is the mental shift you must make. In a confrontation, your default reactor self is the actor. You are on the set, under the hot lights, lost in the emotion of the scene. The architect you are building is the director. The moment you feel that first physiological signal we mapped in Chapter 2, the heat in your chest, the tightness in your throat, that is your cue. That is the signal to mentally step back. You must, in that instant, move from the stage into the director's chair. From this new perspective, the entire encounter changes. You are no longer a participant. You are an observer. You are a strategist. The person yelling at you is no longer an opponent. They are an actor in a scene, giving a performance, an interesting and perhaps troubled performance. You begin to watch the scene instead of just reacting to it. Interesting. His voice just went up an octave. I am observing that her hands are clenched. She is feeling threatened. I am noticing a powerful urge in my own body to interrupt and defend myself. That is the actor's impulse. I will note it and I will let it pass. This is the power of the director. You are watching yourself, you are watching them, and you are watching the space between. You are no longer lost in the lines. You are reading the entire script. This sounds abstract. It is not. It is a practical, trainable, three-part skill. We will build this shield piece by piece. Part 1, the scientist's label. The first, most immediate way to move into the director's chair is to engage the rational brain. As we discussed, the amygdala hijack shuts down your prefrontal cortex. You must therefore force it back online. The simplest way to do this is with the act of labeling. The moment you put a word to an experience, you are engaging the higher, logical linguistic parts of your brain. You are moving from feeling to analyzing. In the moment of conflict, you will become a scientist, and your own internal state is your subject. You will dispassionately catalog what is happening, as if you were taking notes for a research paper. The old script, "He's yelling at me. I can't believe this. I'm so angry." This is fusion. The new script, "I am observing the sensation of heat in my chest. I am labeling this feeling as anger. I am noticing my breathing has become shallow. The impulse to shout is now present." See the difference? In the first script, you are the anger. In the second, you are the one observing the anger. The anger is no longer you. It is a thing. It is a chemical event happening inside of you, and you are the conscious witness to it. This simple act of labeling creates the first critical hairline fracture of space between the stimulus and your response. This works on the outside too. You are not just labeling your internal state, you are labeling the external one. Old script, "He is attacking me. He is so aggressive." New script, "I am observing a raised voice. I am observing rapid speech. I am observing a furrowed brow." This practice forces you into objective reality. "He is attacking me" is a story. It is an interpretation. And it is a story that demands a fight or flight response. "He is using a raised voice" is an observable fact. It is data, and data does not demand a response. Data invites an analysis. This is the first component of your shield. You are no longer a brawler. You are a scientist, calmly labeling the data of the encounter. Part 2, the journalist's report. Facts versus stories. The second component of the shield is the mastery of interpretation. This is where the reactor self does the most damage. In the split second of a hijack, we do not react to what happened. We react to the story we tell ourselves about what happened. The reactor is a terrible, panicked storyteller. The architect is a sober, objective journalist. A journalist's first and most important job is to separate fact from speculation. You must do the same. In any confrontation, you must relentlessly, ruthlessly strip away your own emotional stories and get down to the undeniable facts. Let's see this in practice. The scenario. You are in a meeting and you present an idea. Your boss cuts you off mid-sentence and says, "I just don't see this working. We're moving on." The reactor story, the lie. "He just humiliated me. He shot me down in front of everyone. He thinks I'm an idiot. He's been waiting to do that. My career here is over. I am a failure." The feeling. Shame, anger, defensiveness. The response? You either lash out, "Well, if you'd let me finish," or you freeze, shutting down for the rest of the meeting, your face burning. You have been hijacked. The architect's report, the truth. Fact, I was speaking. Fact, my boss spoke over me. Fact, he used the words, "I just don't see this working. We're moving on." Fact, the conversation moved to the next agenda item. That is all that happened. Everything else, the humiliation, the belief he thinks you're an idiot, the story about your career being over, is a fabrication. It is a work of fiction. It is a fantasy of fear that you created in a millisecond. And you are letting this fantasy dictate your response. The shield of detachment is the ability to pause that storyteller. It is the ability to look at the situation and say, "What are the facts?" When you operate from the facts, your options expand. Your new thought process becomes, "He interrupted me. That is a fact. The reason he did that is unknown. It could be he thinks I'm an idiot. It could also be that he is under immense pressure from his boss and has no time. It could be he misread the email this morning. It could be he didn't have coffee. I have no data to support any of those conclusions." By sticking to the facts, you neutralize the emotional trigger. The story is what carries the poison. The fact is just data. Your boss's words are just noise. You are the one who decides if that noise means, "I am a failure." The architect refuses to assign that meaning. This is the second component of your shield. You are no longer a panicked storyteller. You are a journalist, reporting only the facts. Part 3. The diplomat's view. Person versus problem. The final component of the shield is the most profound. It is the ability to separate the person from their emotion. In a confrontation, we fuse the two. The person is their anger. The person is their attack. They are, in that moment, the enemy. The architect, the master diplomat, knows this is false. You must learn to see the other person's outburst not as who they are, but as a thing they are experiencing. You are not in a confrontation with a person. You are at the confrontation with that person's anger. You are in a confrontation with their fear. You are in a confrontation with their ego. You must see their emotional state as a separate entity, a storm that is around them. The reactor sees a person yelling, and they see an attacker. The architect sees a person yelling, and they see a person who is lost in their own storm. This perspective is a superpower. When you see them as an attacker, your only option is to fight, flee, or freeze. When you see them as a person trapped in a storm, your options multiply. You are not in a fight. You are in a rescue mission, or at the very least, a strategic negotiation with a storm. You no longer take their words personally. How could you? The words are not coming from them. They are coming from their pain. They are coming from their fear. They are coming from their amygdala. You, the architect, are the only one in the room who is not hijacked. You are the only one who is not in the storm. You are standing on solid ground. From this position, your goal is no longer to win against them. Your goal is to communicate with the person inside the storm. Your goal is to not get pulled in. This is not about being soft. This is about being effective. You cannot be effective if you are just another piece of debris spinning in their tornado. I can see you are incredibly passionate about this. I understand this is frustrating for you. These are not statements of agreement. They are statements of observation. You are the director commenting on the actor's performance. You are the diplomat acknowledging the storm without stepping into it. This depersonalizes the entire encounter. It is no longer you versus them. It is you and them versus the problem. And their storm is just another part of the problem to be solved. The shield is forged. These three practices, the scientist's label, the journalist's report, and the diplomat's view, are the three layers of your shield. When they are combined, you achieve true detachment. You are in the director's chair. You are labeling your own internal state. You are stripping their words down to facts. And you are seeing their emotion as a storm separate from their true self. You are, in a word, free. You have created space, the space between stimulus and response. In the old model, the stimulus, the attack, and the response, your explosion, were fused. They were one and the same. Now, a vast, quiet, clear space has opened up. The stimulus happens, and then nothing. There is a pause, a silence. In that silence, you are in the director's chair. You are in control. The chemical hijack is happening, but you are observing it, not obeying it. The attack has been launched, but it has hit the shield and stopped. It is no longer a missile. It is just data waiting for your review. In this new, quiet space, the panic is gone. The blind reactivity is gone. All that is left is choice. You are no longer forced to react. You are now, for the first time, truly free to choose your next move. That choice, that power, is the subject of our next chapter. The shield of detachment you forged in the last chapter is your first line of defense. It is the psychological space you create, the mental shift from actor to director. It is the power of your mind. But in a true confrontation, you are not just fighting a psychological battle. You are fighting a physiological one. You can be the most detached director in the world, but if the actor, your body, is so flooded with adrenaline that your hands are shaking, your voice is trembling, and your heart is beating out of your chest, your calm will be a fraud. It will be a mask easily shattered. You cannot win the mental battle if you have already lost the physical one. Remember the hijack. The moment the sentinel pulls that alarm, you are deluged with a chemical cocktail designed for war. Your body is screaming, run, fight. It is a cascade of raw, explosive physical energy. If you do not manage this energy, it will manage you. It will overflow, flooding your voice, your hands, and your mind. This chapter is about mastering that flood. If detachment is your shield, this is your anchor. We are not going to get rid of the adrenaline. You cannot. It is the fastest biological process in your body. We are not going to stop the fear. We are going to control the body's response to it. We are going to build an anchor that holds you firm, allowing the storm of adrenaline to rage around you but not move you. This is the art of physiological sovereignty. This is not about just take a deep breath. A single panicked gasp for air in the middle of a conflict only makes you look weak. It signals to your body and to your opponent that you are losing control. This is about something subtle, internal, and far more powerful. We are going to take conscious, deliberate control of the two systems that are most violently hijacked by the adrenal response: your breathing and your physical grounding. The unseen regulator. Mastering the breath. Your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. When you are hijacked, your breathing becomes shallow, rapid, and high in the chest. This is panic breathing. It is the body's way of sipping just enough air for a short burst of action. This very style of breathing sends a feedback loop to your brain. Confirm, we are in danger. Increase the panic, release more adrenaline. Your shallow breathing is actively fueling the hijack. To stop this loop, you must seize control of the mechanism. You must deliberately switch from panic breathing to control breathing. The goal is not to take one deep breath, but to fundamentally change the pattern of your respiration, without anyone else in the room even noticing. This is the technique of the sovereign pause. It is a 4-second internal process that you will practice until it is automatic. The moment you feel the first physical sign of the hijack, the heat, the jolt in your stomach, you will execute this maneuver before you speak, before you move. Step 1. The silent inhale. 1 second. You will not gasp. You will not heave your shoulders. You will simply inhale silently through your nose. The key is to draw the air downward, not outward. Imagine the air filling your stomach, not your chest. This engages your diaphragm, the large muscle below your lungs. Step 2. The anchor hold. 1 second. You will hold that breath for one single powerful second. In this 1 second, you are the director hitting the pause button on the scene. You are interrupting the body's panic rhythm. You are proving that you are in control, not the hijack. Step 3. The controlled exhale. 2 seconds. This is the most important part. You will exhale slowly, either through your nose or through slightly pursed lips, as if you're about to whistle but without making sound. Critically, you will make your exhale longer than your inhale. This specific action, a long, slow exhale, is a biological cheat code. It is the only part of the breathing process that is directly wired to your vagus nerve, which is the primary brake on your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system. A long exhale is a direct physiological signal to your brain that says, "The danger has passed. You can stand down. I am safe." It chemically forces the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, to activate. It is, in essence, you consciously reaching into your own brainstem and turning the panic dial down. It slows your heart rate, it lowers your blood pressure. It is the anchor catching the seafloor. This entire sovereign pause, inhale, 1, hold, 1, exhale, 2, takes 4 seconds. It can be done in complete silence while the other person is speaking. They will never see it. But in those 4 seconds, you will have accomplished 3 critical things. You have broken the panic breathing feedback loop. You have activated your body's physiological braking system. You have given your detached mind a crucial window of time to engage the shield, get to the director's chair, and choose your response, rather than being forced into one. You will not just do this once. This becomes your new default breathing pattern for the entire duration of the confrontation. While they are yelling, while you are listening, you are breathing. Inhale down, exhale slow. Inhale down, exhale slow. Your opponent is running a physiological sprint, burning all their energy in erratic, shallow gasps. You are in a calm, controlled, deep rhythm. Who do you think will have more endurance? Who will have the clearer mind? The storm can rage all at once. Your breathing is your anchor, and it will not be moved. Part 2. The art of physical grounding. The second part of the hijack is the body's physical preparation for movement. The adrenaline wants you to move. It makes you want to pace, to fidget, to clench your fists, to tap your feet. This is nervous energy, and it is a visible broadcast of your internal chaos. It looks weak. It feels out of control. You must give this energy a channel, but a silent, controlled one. You must ground yourself to the earth. Grounding is the practice of taking all that explosive, chaotic energy in your body and directing it downward, anchoring yourself to your physical spot. Here is how you do it, in any situation. If you are sitting, the hijack will make you want to shrink, to cross your arms, to fold in on yourself, a freeze or flight response. Or it will make you want to lean forward aggressively, to enter the other person's space, a fight response. You will do neither. Instead, you will sit up straight but not rigidly. You will place both feet flat on the floor. Uncross your ankles. Feel the entire sole of your shoe in contact with the ground. Now you will take that shaky electric energy that is vibrating in your hands and chest, and you will mentally push it down through your spine, through your legs, and into your feet. You will actively press your feet into the floor. At the same time, you will place your hands on your lap or on the table in front of you. You will unclench your fists. You will feel the contact of your palms against the fabric of your pants or the cool wood of the table. You have just created a circuit. The energy is no longer rattling around inside you, making you tremble. It is flowing through you and grounding itself into the floor and the table. You have become a stable, physical presence. You are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are a tree, rooted. If you are standing, the same principle applies. The urge will be to rock on your heels, to shift your weight, to cross your arms in a defensive posture. You will not. You will stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, not in an aggressive, wide-legged stance, but a stable, natural one. You will feel your weight distributed evenly on both feet. You will unlock your knees. You will consciously push your heels into the floor, just as you did when sitting. Imagine you are trying to leave a slight indentation in the carpet. This tiny isometric act of rooting engages your largest muscles, your legs and glutes, giving the adrenaline a job to do. It gives the energy a silent downward path. Your hands will be at your sides or gently held in front of you, not clenched, not in your pockets, which looks avoidant. They will be relaxed but ready. This physical posture does two things simultaneously. First, it completes the internal feedback loop. Just as shallow breathing tells your brain, panic, a grounded, stable, open posture tells your brain, I am not a threat and I am not threatened. I am stable, I am in control. This, combined with your controlled breathing, slams the brakes on the hijack. Second, it projects external power. To the person confronting you, you suddenly become a very difficult object to move. You are not a cowering victim. You are not an aggressive posturing ape. You are a picture of absolute composure. You are a mounting. People who are lost in their own emotional storm are subconsciously looking for a stable object. They are screaming at you, in part because their own chaos is terrifying to them, and they want someone to control the situation. When they see your unshakable physical calm, your steady breath, your rooted stance, your relaxed hands, it is profoundly unnerving to them. It breaks their script. They are pushing on you, and you are not moving. This instantly robs their aggression of its power. You are not giving their anger any fuel. You are not reflecting their chaos. You are absorbing it and grounding it into the earth. The unshakable center. This is the harmony of the architect. Your mind is in the director's chair, detached and observing. Chapter 3. Your breath is your anchor, slow and deep, breaking your nervous system. Chapter 4. Your body is your root, grounded and stable, channeling the adrenaline. Chapter 4. This is the complete system of in-the-moment control. It is critical to understand. You will still feel the adrenaline. You will still feel the jolt. The goal is not to become a passionless, unfeeling statue. That is impossible. The goal is to be the master of that energy. The goal is to feel that massive surge of power and, instead of letting it explode out of your mouth in a torrent of reactive words, you channel it. You let it fuel your presence. You let it sharpen your focus. You let it anchor your stance. The feeling of the hijack, which you once interpreted as I am losing control, you will now learn to interpret as I am in control. My body is now at peak alert. My systems are online. I am ready. The storm is here, and you are the anchor. You are not fighting the storm. You are not running from it. You are simply holding. You have held your mind. You have held your body. You are now a single, unified, and unshakable self, rooted in the center of the chaos. You have not yet said a word. You have not yet made a move. But by doing this, you have already taken control of the entire encounter. Now, from this place of absolute power, what do you do with the true enemy? What do you do with the part of you that is still screaming to fight, to be proven right, to defend your image? That is the battle we take on next. You have done the work. You have built your shield of detachment. You are in the director's chair, observing the scene. You have forged your anchor. Your breathing is slow and controlled. Your body is rooted to the ground. The storm of adrenaline is surging, but you are channeling it. You are in complete physiological and psychological control. And yet, there is a voice. It is not the panicked scream of the amygdala. This one is different. It is quieter, more calculating. It is sharp, and it is laced with pride. It whispers, "They can't talk to you like that." It hisses, "You look weak. Say something. Put them in their place." It demands, "You know you are right. Prove it. Do not let them get away with this. Win." This is the voice of your ego. This is the true enemy. The amygdala hijack, the storm we explored in Chapter 1, is a blunt instrument. It is a primitive alarm, a physiological explosion. You can learn to manage it. You can anchor your body against its force. But the ego is a saboteur. It is a traitor inside your own command center. It is the part of your mind that will wait until you are perfectly calm, perfectly detached, and then convince you to light the entire enterprise on fire, all for the sake of your pride. In most confrontations, you are not fighting another person. You are not fighting for a project, or a principle, or a relationship. You are fighting for the image of yourself. This chapter is about identifying, understanding, and finally starving that saboteur. Because true power, true invincibility, does not come from winning the argument. It comes from mastering the part of you that needs to. What is the ego in this context? It is not just arrogance. It is not just vanity. In a confrontation, the ego is the identity you have constructed. It is the mental and emotional avatar of you. It is the collection of beliefs you hold about yourself. I am smart. I am competent. I am respected. I am a good person. This avatar is a fragile thing. It is built of glass. And when a confrontation begins, your ego perceives a threat not to your life, but to your story. The other person's criticism is not just data, it is a hammer smashing against the glass. Their interruption is not just rude, it is an indictment of your importance. Their disagreement is not a difference in perspective, it is a challenge to your intelligence. The amygdala screams, "I am in danger." The ego screams, "I am insulted." This is a critical distinction. The ego's hijack is more subtle and more dangerous. It doesn't just want survival, it wants vindication. It has three primary, non-negotiable demands in any conflict. And if you obey them, you will always lose what truly matters. Ego demand number 1. I must be right. This is the ego's most common trap. It is the desperate, burning need to achieve factual or moral victory. You become obsessed with the details. You get lost in a debate over who said what 6 months ago. You pull up old emails. You argue over a tiny, irrelevant point of data because that point has become a symbol of your competence. The ego tells you that to concede this point is to concede that you are wrong, and to be wrong is to be inferior. While you are busy fighting to prove you are right, you are completely ignoring the actual goal. You may be trying to negotiate a raise, but instead you are arguing about your performance review from last year. You may be trying to solve a problem with your partner, but instead you are in a courtroom drama, cross-examining them about something they said yesterday. The ego derails progress in favor of victory. The architect knows this. The architect is willing to be wrong about a small detail, to be right about the overall objective. The architect will gladly concede an irrelevant point to gain ground on the important one. The architect asks, Do I want to be right, or do I want to be effective? The reactor must be right, even if it costs them the entire negotiation. The ego would rather win the battle and lose the war. Ego demand number 2. I must be respected. This demand is not for respect, it is for deference. It is the voice that says, they must acknowledge my authority. They must not challenge me. They must use the correct tone. This is the need to defend your status. When you feel disrespected, your ego is telling you that your position in the social hierarchy is under attack. This is what makes a mild suggestion feel like an insubordinate mutiny. This is what makes a simple question feel like an interrogation. The reactor, when their status is challenged, must escalate. They must re-establish dominance. They raise their voice, they use sarcasm, they pull rank. They say things like, "Do you know who I am?" Or, "I've been doing this for 20 years." This is a fatal error. It is a desperate signal of insecurity. The architect understands that true respect, true authority is never demanded, it is demonstrated. And it is demonstrated most powerfully by its refusal to be drawn into a petty status game. The architect's calm is their authority. Their detachment is their power. They do not need to raise their voice because their presence is what controls the room. They welcome the challenge because it gives them a chance to demonstrate their unshakable composure. The reactor tries to prove their authority by making noise. The architect is the authority by being the source of silence. Ego demand 3. I must have the last word. This is the ego at its most childish and its most potent. The confrontation is over. The point has been made. A resolution has, perhaps, been reached. But the ego cannot let it go. It needs that final, parting shot. It needs that one last zinger, that final sarcastic remark, that concluding and another thing, that proves you are the one ending the conversation. This is the ego's need to win the encounter, to be the one left standing on the imaginary battlefield. This single urge has reopened countless wounds. It has reignited arguments that were finished. It has turned a productive disagreement into a lingering, bitter resentment. It is the hand that picks at the scab, ensuring it never heals. Why? Because the ego is terrified of silence. It is terrified of letting the other person's point be the one that hangs in the air. The architect sees this for the trap it is. The architect understands the supreme, godlike power of not needing the last word. The architect has the self-control to state their case, listen to the response, and then stop. They have the confidence to let the other person have the last word, knowing that it doesn't matter. The person who needs the last word is the person who has lost control. The person who can give it away freely is the one who is in a position of unassailable strength. This is the ultimate choice. It is the choice between effectiveness and victory. The reactor, a slave to the ego, is always fighting for victory. They want to be right, to be respected, and to have the last word. They leave a trail of broken relationships, stalled projects, and hollow, Pyrrhic wins in their wake. They may win the argument, but they lose the loyalty of their team. They may win the fight, but they lose the intimacy of their partner. The architect, the master of the ego, is always fighting for effectiveness. The architect has a goal. My goal is to get this project funded. My goal is to understand why my partner is upset. My goal is to de-escalate this customer. With this goal as their guiding star, everything becomes a tool. Even their own ego becomes a tool. If their goal is to get the project funded and an executive makes a disrespectful comment, the architect's ego will scream, "He's attacking us!" But the architect will silence it, asking the real question. Will responding to that insult move me closer to my goal or further away? The answer is almost always further away. And so, the architect sacrifices the ego. This is the great advanced move of the master. They willingly let the ego take the hit. They choose to lose the micro-battle. They absorb the insult and do not react. They let the minor factual error slide without correction. They let the other person win the status point. This is not submission. This is strategy. It is the most advanced form of martial arts. The opponent lunges, expecting to hit a solid wall of resistance. Instead, they find nothing. They find a void. You absorb their energy, you redirect it, and you let their own momentum throw them off balance. Your refusal to engage on an ego level is the most powerful move you can make. It completely disarms them. They came for a fight, but you are offering them a problem to solve. They came to attack you, but you are not there. Only your goal is there. How do you do this in the moment? How do you starve this powerful internal voice? You use the same system you have already built. First, you observe. The director. You are in your detached director's chair. You hear the other person's words, you feel the physiological jolt, and then you hear the second voice, the ego's voice. He's wrong, correct him, now. You do not obey this voice. You observe it. Ah, interesting. My ego has been activated. It is now demanding that I prove him wrong. Second, you label. The scientist. You label it for what it is. That is not me. That is my ego. That is the part of me that is obsessed with my social image. By labeling it, you separate yourself from it. It is no longer you. It is a thing in the room with you, like a pet or a badly behaved child demanding attention. Third, you recenter on the goal. The architect. This is the killing blow. You ask yourself the one true question. What is my objective in this conversation? Your objective is almost never to prove I am smart or to win this argument. Your objective is concrete. To get the information I need. To secure the deadline. To preserve the relationship. Fourth, you choose. You now have a clear choice. Option A, obey the ego. React. Option B, pursue the goal. Act. The architect always chooses the goal. They will submit on the ego level to win on the strategic level. This is the new definition of power. Ego-driven power is brittle. It is loud. It is defensive. It needs to prove itself. It is a hollow shell. True power, architect power, is flexible. It is quiet. It is open. It has nothing to prove. The person who is a slave to their ego is the most predictable person in the room. You know exactly what buttons to push to make them explode. They are a puppet, and their pride is the strings. The person who has mastered their ego is invincible. They are unpredictable. You cannot find a button to push. You cannot insult them, because their identity is not in the room. You cannot win against them, because they are not playing your game. They are playing a different, bigger game. And by refusing to engage in your petty battle, they have already won. Starving your ego is not an act of weakness. It is your ultimate and final source of strength. You are in the eye of the storm. You have built your shield of detachment. You are the director, observing the scene. You have forged your anchor. Your breathing is slow. Your body is rooted. You have starved your ego, silencing the internal voice that demands victory over effectiveness. You are, for the first time, in a state of total internal mastery. Now you must speak. This is the moment where all your internal work becomes external. This is the moment where the reactor is finally, truly replaced by the architect. Because the words you choose and the way you deliver them will either dismantle the confrontation or undo every bit of work you have just done. Words start wars. Words broker peace. Words can be a desperate, blunt force weapon, or they can be a surgeon's scalpel precisely wielded to remove the poison and heal the wound. The reactor, a slave to the hijack, uses language as a weapon. Their words are reactive, explosive, and defensive. They accuse, they blame, they escalate. They shout, you always, you never. Their language is gasoline thrown on a fire that their own body started. The architect uses language as a tool. Their words are deliberate, precise, and strategic. They are designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to achieve the objective. That objective is never to win the argument. The objective is to end the conflict. It is to de-escalate, to establish boundaries, to find the truth, and to move toward a resolution. This chapter is your new script. It is the language of control. We will master not only what you say, but how you say it. Because in a confrontation, your tone is the truth. Your words are just the details. Part 1. The sound of your power: tone, pacing, and volume. Before you have even chosen your first word, you have already sent your message. You have sent it with the sound of your voice. This is your first and most powerful tool of de-escalation. The reactor is hijacked by adrenaline, and their voice shows it. It becomes high-pitched, fast, and loud. It is the sound of chaos, the sound of a person who has lost control. The architect's voice is the antithesis of this. It is the audible form of your anchor. First, you control your tone. The power is not in a loud, aggressive, dominant tone. That is the ego's trap. That is a dog barking, trying to prove it is big. The architect's power is in a low, calm, and measured tone. A low-pitched voice is a biological signal of confidence. It communicates that you are not threatened. It is the sound of stability. While the other person's voice is climbing higher and higher into panic and rage, yours remains grounded. This sonic difference between you creates a powerful subconscious dynamic. You become the adult. They become the child. Your calm tone is not one of submission. It is not quiet and mousy. It is firm. It is the sound of a granite threshold. It is the sound of, I will not be moved and I will not join you in your chaos. Second, you master your volume. The reactor's first mistake is matching their opponent. They yell, so you yell louder. This is the law of escalation. You have accepted their frame, and you have agreed to a shouting match. You will both lose. The architect does the exact opposite. This is the ultimate pattern interrupt. As the other person's volume increases, you deliberately decrease yours. You do not become submissive, but you become quiet. You force them to stop yelling just to be able to hear what you are saying. This is a profound power shift. You are forcing them, without ever giving a command, to physically move closer to your state of calm. They are screaming, and you respond in a calm, clear, low voice. I am having trouble understanding you when you are speaking that loudly. They are forced to pause. Their brain, expecting a fight, is met with a puzzle. They must quiet down to continue the engagement. You have just taken control of the entire room's audio levels, and you did it with silence. Third, you command your pacing. Adrenaline makes you speak fast. You tumble over your words, desperate to get your defense out, to counter their point. This is the sound of panic. The architect speaks slowly, deliberately. You leave space between your words. This slow, measured pacing achieves two critical goals. Internally, it forces your brain to stay in its rational prefrontal cortex. You cannot speak slowly and thoughtfully while being simultaneously hijacked by your amygdala. It keeps you anchored. Externally, it projects an aura of absolute, unshakable confidence. It says, I am not intimidated. I am not flustered. I am thinking before I speak. I am choosing my words because my words have weight. This combination, a low tone, a quiet volume, and a slow pace, is the sound of control. It is a sonic wall that their chaos cannot penetrate. It is the non-verbal foundation upon which all your verbal strategies will be built. Part 2. The verbal sponge. Validation and listening. The confrontation has begun. The other person is hijacked. They are firing accusations. They are emotional. They are, in a word, screaming to be heard. The reactor's instinct is to defend, to block their words, to say, "No, that's not true. You're wrong. Let me tell you my side." This is a fatal error. You cannot de-escalate a person who does not feel heard. By defending yourself, you are invalidating them. You are telling them your feelings are wrong. This will only make them scream louder to try and force you to hear them. The architect's first verbal move is never a defense. It is an absorption. You will become a verbal sponge. Your goal is to absorb all their chaotic, poisonous energy, neutralize it, and show it back to them in a clean, logical form. This is the technique of reflective listening, and it is your single most powerful de-escalation tool. You are not parroting them. You are translating their chaotic emotion into a rational sentence. They scream, "I can't believe this. This is a total disaster. You completely ignored my email, and now the entire project is ruined. This is always what happens." The reactor's response, "That's not true. I didn't ignore it. It's not ruined. You're the one who..." And the war is on. The architect's response, in a calm, slow, low voice. "So if I am understanding you correctly, you are feeling incredibly frustrated right now. You believe your email was missed, and you are worried that the project is now at risk. Let's analyze what just happened. You did not agree with them. You did not say, 'You are right, I am a failure.' You did not defend yourself. You did not say, 'No, I'm not.' You did something far more powerful. You validated their emotion without agreeing with their facts. You said, 'I hear you. I see your storm.' This simple act is a psychological stun grenade. It stops the attack cold. The other person, who was prepared for a fight, is suddenly met with an ally. You are no longer an opponent. You are a partner in the act of understanding. Their entire body relaxes. Their amygdala stops screaming, 'They are a threat,' and begins to think, 'They are listening.' You continue to be the sponge. Tell me more about the part you feel was ruined. What did you mean when you said, 'This is always what happens'? You are using their energy to their own detriment. You are giving them the rope to let their own argument unravel. More often than not, when a person hears their own chaotic emotions translated back to them in a calm, rational voice, they are the ones who recognize the exaggeration. They will be the ones to say, 'Well, maybe ruined is a strong word, but I am concerned about the deadline.' You have just, without ever defending yourself, de-escalated the entire encounter. You have absorbed the poison, and now the conversation can actually begin. Part 3. The language of sovereignty. I statements and boundaries. Now that you have de-escalated, now that the emotion has been drained from the room, it is your turn. It is time to state your position, to define your reality, and to set your boundaries. This is where the reactor fails again, this time with accusation. The reactor's language is you. You need to calm down. You are not being fair. You misunderstood me. A you statement is an attack. It is pointing a finger. The moment you say you, the other person's shield goes up. Their amygdala reignites. You have just declared war. The architect's language is I. An I statement is not a request. It is not weak. It is a bold, unassailable declaration of your reality. It is the language of sovereignty. Look at the difference. Instead of, "You need to calm down," you say, "I am having a hard time continuing this conversation while your voice is raised." Instead of, "You are being unfair," you say, "I don't see the situation that way." Instead of, "You misunderstood me," you say, "I must not have been clear. Let me try again." A you statement is an accusation that can be argued with. "No, I'm not unfair." An I statement is a fact that cannot be. They cannot argue with your perception. They cannot argue with your state. You are not accusing them, you are informing them. This language takes radical ownership, and it is impenetrable. This I language is also the foundation for setting firm, non-negotiable boundaries. This is not de-escalation, this is stopping the attack. The reactor's boundary is either weak, please, I'm sorry, but could you maybe not, or aggressive, shut up. The architect's boundary is a calm, neutral, and final statement. It is not an apology, it is not a justification, it is a wall. This is the calm no. When you are insulted, the reactor. You can't talk to me like that, you jerk. Escalation. The architect. Slowly, calmly, I will not be spoken to that way. Period. End of sentence. No or else. The threat is implied by the calm. When you are asked to do something unacceptable, the reactor. I don't know, I'm really busy, I'm sorry. The architect. I am not going to do that. When the attack continues, you do not escalate. You do not change your words. You do not justify. You become a broken record. Them. I don't care. You are going to listen to me. You are an idiot. You. Same calm, low tone. I will not be spoken to that way. Them. I'll speak to you however I want. You. I am ending this conversation. We can resume when you are ready to be professional. You then leave. You do not give them the last word. You do not need it. Your action is the last word. This is the apex of verbal control. It is not about winning the point. It is about controlling the frame. You have refused to accept their frame of chaos, and you have instead imposed your frame of calm, rational, and respectful conduct. They can either join you in that frame, or they can speak to themselves. The final shift, from confrontation to collaboration. This is the architect's ultimate goal. Your language is the bridge. You use the sound of your power to calm the room. You use the verbal sponge to absorb the emotion. You use I statements to establish your boundaries and your reality. Now you make the final move. You pivot. You pivot from person versus person to people versus problem. You verbally unite the two of you against the issue. You say, we are clearly both frustrated. How do we solve this? We seem to be stuck on this one point. What is a path forward for us? I understand your position. You understand mine. What is a solution we can both live with? This is the masterstroke. You have taken an opponent and transformed them into a partner. The language you use does not just describe your reality, it creates it. The reactor's language creates a battlefield. The architect's language creates a construction site. You have used your words not as weapons of war, but as tools of creation. You have de-escalated the threat, defended your boundaries, and built a new framework for solving the problem. This is the language of control. This is the language of leadership. You have achieved what most people will never even attempt. You have mastered your internal state. You have anchored your body. You have starved your ego. You have learned to speak with deliberate, controlled, and strategic language. You are, in effect, a fortress. You are a source of stability. But this is where the mastery truly begins. Up until this point, our work has been defensive. It has been about building your shield, your anchor, your control. We have now neutralized your chaos. But what about theirs? In every confrontation, there are two battles being fought. There is the one you see, the argument about the deadline, the money, the household chore. This is the overt battle, the one fought with words and logic. And then there is the hidden battlefield. This is the battle you cannot see, but can only sense. It is the battle of subtext. It is the war of unmet needs, of hidden fears, of ego-driven motives. The words are just the smoke. The hidden battlefield is the fire. The reactor hears the words, believes them, and engages on that superficial level. They fight the smoke. The architect ignores the words and looks for the source of the fire. This chapter is your initiation into the art of emotional intelligence. It is how you stop listening to what people are saying and start decoding what they truly mean. It is how you move from being a simple participant in a conflict to being the diagnostician of it. You are about to learn to see the invisible and to hear the unsaid. Part 1. The words are the smokescreen. The single most important rule of the hidden battlefield is this: people in conflict are almost never fighting about what they say they are fighting about. The words are a lie. Not a deliberate malicious lie, but a lie of convenience. When a person is hijacked by their amygdala or their ego, they do not have the self-awareness or the vocabulary to articulate the true source of their pain. So they grab the nearest, most convenient, and most logical-sounding weapon. The weapon is the topic. You're late with the report. You never take out the trash. You didn't back me up in that meeting. The reactor hears this and instantly defends the topic. Yes, I did. I did it last week. The report isn't even late. The architect knows this is a fool's errand. You are arguing with the smokescreen. The real message is not in the words. The real message is in the emotion that is carrying the words. The topic is just the vehicle for the emotion. They are not angry because of the report. They are using the report to express their anger. They are not upset because of the trash. They are using the trash to express their feeling of being unappreciated. Your first job as a decoder is to mentally and emotionally dismiss the stated topic. Do not take the bait. Do not get hooked by the words. The moment the confrontation begins, you must tell yourself, this is not what this is about. My job is to find out what is. This creates an immediate strategic detachment. You are no longer a defendant in their court arguing their accusations. You are a detective at a crime scene looking for clues. And the first clues are not in what they say, but in how their body betrays them. Part 2. The body cannot lie. The conscious mind, the one that speaks, is a practiced liar. The unconscious mind, the one that controls the body, is an honest child. When a person is in a state of conflict, their body will leak the truth, even as their mouth is speaking the lie. Your job is to spot the incongruency. You are looking for the moments where the body contradicts the words. This is not about simplistic pop psychology. A person crossing their arms does not automatically mean they are closed off. They might just be cold. What you are looking for are clusters of signals, and most importantly, changes in those signals. Cluster 1. The shield, self-protection and resistance. The signals: arms crossing, legs crossing, turning the torso or feet away from you, hunching shoulders, placing an object like a coffee mug or a laptop on the table between you. The meaning: this is a defensive posture. The person feels threatened, uncomfortable, or is rejecting your idea. Their body is literally trying to build a wall. Strategic use: if you see this cluster, you know your current line of argument is failing. They are not being persuaded. They are fortifying. The reactor plows ahead. The architect pivots. You must change your tactic or your language to make them feel less threatened before you can proceed. Cluster 2. The attack, aggression and dominance. The signals: leaning in, invading your space, pointing a finger, planting hands on hips, the Superman pose, puffing the chest, a hard, unblinking stare. The meaning: this is an ego display. This is a dominance game. The person is trying to intimidate you, to make you smaller, and to assert their status. Strategic use: this is not a person who feels threatened. This is a person who needs to feel superior. This is the ego's demand for respect, as we covered in Chapter 5. Your calm, grounded, unreactive anchor is the perfect counter to this. You do not lean in, you do not puff up. You hold your ground, which silently invalidates their display of power. Cluster 3. The escape, anxiety and deception. The signals: fidgeting, tapping feet, touching the face, rubbing the neck, breaking eye contact, especially down and to the left, a high blink rate, feet pointing toward the exit. The meaning: this person wants to be anywhere else. This is the flight response made physical. It signals extreme discomfort, anxiety, or, very often, a lack of confidence in their own words. Strategic use. This person is not an opponent. They are a captive. They are not fighting you. They are fighting their own anxiety. Aggression will shatter them. Your calm, controlled, questioning approach will be most effective. You have the leverage because they are desperate for the encounter to end. The master skill, spotting the shift. The most valuable data is not the posture itself, but the change. You are speaking. The other person is in a neutral, open posture. You mention a specific topic, for example, the project budget, and instantly their arms cross. That is the landmine. You just found the hidden battlefield. The budget is not a line item, it is an emotional trigger. You now know where to dig. Part 3. The music of the truth. Tone. If the body is leaking the truth, the tone of voice is shouting it. In Chapter 6, we mastered our tone. Now we learn to decode theirs. The words are the lyrics, but the tone is the music. The music is the truth. Pitch. Does their voice rise in pitch? Are they speaking fast? Tumbling over their words? This is the flight response in verbal form. They are anxious, they are not thinking clearly, and they are trying to overwhelm you with a volume of words. Tightness? Does their voice sound strained or thin? This is the sound of stress. Their vocal cords are literally constricting from the adrenaline. This is a clear signal that they are at their physiological limit. The sudden drop? This is the opposite, and just as important. When a person's voice suddenly becomes cold, flat, and slow, especially after being emotional, this is not calm. This is rage. This is the freeze before the fight. This is a person who has moved past emotional reactivity and into a much more dangerous, calculated anger. This is a red flag. By listening to the music, you can spot the incongruence. Words. I am fine. Music? I am fine. Diagnosis? The speaker is the opposite of fine. They are furious. The reactor hears, I am fine, and says, okay. The architect hears, I am fine, and says, we clearly are not done talking about this. Part 4. The final diagnosis, the unmet need. The body language and the tone are just symptoms. They are the clues that point to the disease. Now we name the disease. Behind every irrational, demotional, and aggressive outburst in a confrontation is a simple, primal, unmet human need. Your opponent is not a monster. They are not crazy. They are a person who is using clumsy, destructive, and primitive tools to try and get a fundamental need met. Your job as the master architect is to diagnose that need. When you can name the need, the words they are using become irrelevant. You have found the fire. In conflict, these needs almost always fall into one of 3 categories. 1. The need for security. The need to be safe. The driver, fear. The story, I am in danger. I am going to lose something. My job, my status, my stability is at risk. The behavior, anxiety, hoarding information, micromanagement, resistance to change, and often lashing out from a place of panic. The decoder. When you hear someone arguing obsessively about control, rules, or potential negative outcomes, you are not listening to a pessimist. You are listening to a person who is terrified. Their need is for security. 2. The need for significance. The need to be respected. The driver, ego. The story, I am being disrespected. I am being made to look small, stupid, or invisible. My authority is being challenged. The behavior, aggression, dominance displays, hothead reactions, sarcasm, pulling rank, needing to be right, and needing the last word. The decoder. When you see someone arguing about status, respect, or who is in charge, you are not listening to a leader. You are listening to a person whose ego is wounded. Their need is for significance. 3. The need for connection, the need to be heard. The driver, isolation. The story, I am alone. No one understands me. No one appreciates me. I am not being seen. The behavior, repetitive arguments, saying the same thing over and over, emotional outbursts, crying, testing behavior, and a desperate need for validation. The decoder, when you hear someone arguing about fairness, appreciation, or past events, you are not listening to a scorekeeper. You are listening to a person who feels disconnected and unheard. Their need is for connection. Part 5. Strategic empathy. You have the diagnosis. Now what? You will now deploy the most advanced weapon in the architect's arsenal, strategic empathy. Let us be perfectly clear about what this is. This is not sympathy. I feel so sorry for you. This is not agreement. You are so right. This is not submission. Okay, you win. Strategic empathy is the skill of understanding and articulating the other person's hidden need, not to agree with it, but to neutralize it as a barrier, allowing you to redirect the conversation back to your objective. You are not validating their words, the lie. You are validating their emotion, the truth. You are speaking directly to the hidden battlefield. If you diagnose a need for security, fear, you must provide reassurance and certainty. Their words. This deadline is impossible. We are going to fail. Your response. I understand that the pressure on this is enormous, and it feels like we are being set up to fail. I hear you. That feeling is valid. Let's put that aside for 1 second and map out the first step. What is one thing we can secure right now? What you did. You didn't argue about the deadline. You named their fear, set up to fail, and then refocused them on certainty. One thing. You disarmed the fear. If you diagnose a need for significance, ego, you must provide respect and validation. Their words. You can't just change the plan. I've been doing this for 20 years. Your response. You are absolutely right that your experience here is the most valuable thing we have. I need your expertise on this. Help me understand from your perspective what the biggest risk you see is. What you did. You didn't argue about the plan. You fed their ego. Absolutely right, your expertise. You validated their status. Now that their ego is no longer under attack, it can stop fighting and start helping. If you diagnose a need for connection, isolation, you must provide presence and understanding. Their words. You never listen to me. I'm the only one who ever. Your response. It sounds like you feel completely alone in this, and that I am not seeing your contribution. Is that accurate? Tell me more. What you did. You didn't argue about the word never. You named their isolation, feel completely alone. You used the two most powerful words in the architect's vocabulary. Tell me more. You invited them in and neutralized the disconnection. This is the hidden art. You are no longer a brawler, trading blows. You are a decoder. You are a diagnostician. You are the only person in the room who sees the entire battlefield. You see the smoke and you see the fire. While they are busy fighting their own ghosts, you are calmly and quietly dismantling the engine of the conflict. You have mastered yourself. You have mastered your words, and now you have mastered them. The battle is already over. Here is Chapter 8, written as requested. Chapter 8, The Power of the Controlled Response. For 7 chapters, we have been on a journey of mastery. We have done the internal work that 99% of people will never do. You have learned to see the storm inside. You have dismantled the myth of the hothead. You have forged the shield of detachment, anchored your body in the chaos, starved your ego, and mastered the very language you use. You have even learned to read the hidden battlefield, diagnosing the true, unspoken needs of your opponent. You have, in essence, built the perfect defense. You can now stand in the center of an emotional inferno and not be burned. You can absorb an attack, a criticism, or an insult and not be hijacked. You have achieved what we set out to do. You can stay calm. But this is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning of your power. Calm is not a goal. Calm is a platform. It is the stable, grounded, unshakable foundation from which you now launch your offense. This is not the offense of the reactor, the loud, clumsy, escalatory counterattack. That is an act of desperation. This is the offense of the architect. It is a controlled offense. It is deliberate, precise, strategic, and often devastatingly quiet. It is not about winning a fight. It is about ending it on your terms. Up until this point, you have been the shield. Now you learn to be the scalpel. You have created, through your mastery, a single sacred moment. The attack has been launched. The stimulus has arrived. And where there used to be an instant automatic reaction, there is now space. A vast, quiet, sovereign pause. In this pause, you are in complete control. You are the director. You are the strategist. The other person is suspended in midair, waiting for your reaction. The entire conflict hinges on what you do next, what you do in that space. The reactor has only 3 moves: fight, flee, or freeze. The architect has an infinite number. This chapter is your new playbook. It is the strategic use of silence, the surgical power of a question, and the definitive, final authority of a controlled no. This is how you stop defending the game and start defining it. Part 1. The strategic weapon of silence. The attack comes. I can't believe you dropped the ball on this. This is a complete failure. Your blood spikes. Your anchor holds. Your shield is up. Your ego screams, "Defend!" The reactor opens their mouth. The architect waits. You hold the pause. You look at the other person. You are grounded. Your breathing is slow, and you say nothing. This is your first and most powerful weapon. It is the strategic use of silence. To the reactor, silence is weakness. It is submission. It is freezing. To the architect, silence is a vacuum. It is a void, and it is the most aggressive, most powerful move you can make. Here is what your silence does. First, it breaks the script. The attacker is prepared for a fight. They have braced for your counterargument. They have their next 3 attacks already lined up in their mind. They have thrown a ball, expecting you to throw it back. Instead, you catch it, and you hold it. You just broke the rhythm of the entire confrontation. You have refused to play your part in their scene. This is deeply, profoundly unnerving to a person who is lost in their hijack. Their brain, flooded with fight energy, has nowhere to put it. Your silence creates an agonizing social pressure. They are left exposed, their aggression hanging in the air with no target. Second, your silence forces them to reveal themselves. The void you create is so uncomfortable that the other person will, almost 99% of the time, rush to fill it. They will speak again. And this second statement will be the real one. They will over-explain. I just mean I'm under a lot of pressure and I was counting on. They will soften their attack. Look, failure is a strong word, but I am worried about. They will reveal their true emotion. I'm scared we're going to miss this deadline. There it is. You just used silence as a tool of interrogation. You said nothing, and in doing so, you made them confess their true unmet need. You made them hand you the map to the hidden battlefield. Had you reacted, had you said, "It's not a failure, I did my part," you would still be on the surface, fighting the smokescreen, the topic. Because you were silent, you now know the fire, the fear, and you can address that. I understand. You are worried about the deadline. So am I. Let's focus on that. You have just, with zero effort, taken complete control of the narrative. You have absorbed their attack and redirected the entire conversation to the real problem. This is not a passive silence. This is an active silence. You are not freezing. You are hunting. You are listening with a purpose. You are a detective, waiting for the one clue you need. Never, ever underestimate the power of a calm, controlled, deliberate pause. It is the sound of your authority. Part Soir, the surgical power of the question. The reactor makes statements. You're wrong. That's not true. I did my job. A statement is a wall. It is a declaration of your reality. And when you build a wall, the other person's only option is to attack it or to build their own wall. Statements create conflict. They escalate division. The architect, in the heat of the moment, rarely makes statements. The architect asks questions. A question is a scalpel. It is a probe. It is an invitation. It does not create conflict. It invites examination. It does not escalate. It disarms. A question is the ultimate act of strategic offense because it shifts the entire burden of the conflict from you back onto the attacker. When someone accuses you, you are instantly put on the defense. You are in the witness box, being cross-examined. You are the one who has to prove your innocence. When you respond with a question, you have just left the witness box, walked across the courtroom, and put them on the stand. You are no longer the one answering. You are the one demanding answers. There are 3 types of questions in your new arsenal. 1. The clarifying question, the logic probe. This is the tool you use when you are being attacked with generalizations, exaggerations, or flawed logic. They say, "This is a total disaster. This always happens." The reactor says, "No, it's not. It doesn't." The architect asks, "Help me understand what specifically you mean by disaster." Or, "You said this always happens. Can you give me another specific example so I can understand the pattern?" Notice the language. Help me understand. Walk me through. This is a collaborative frame. You are not accusing them of being wrong. You are inviting them to prove they are right. What happens? They are forced to stop their emotional tirade and engage their rational brain. They have to think. And in that moment of thinking, their hijack recedes. More often than not, they cannot find a specific example. They cannot define disaster. You have just, with a simple question, forced them to dismantle their own argument. 2. The pivoting question, the goal redirect. This is the tool you use to stop the backward-looking blame and start the forward-looking solution. They say, "I cannot believe you missed that detail in the report." The reactor says, "I was busy. You gave me the wrong data." Defending the past. The architect asks, "You are right. That detail was missed. What is the most effective way for us to solve this right now?" Or, "Given that this is where we are, what does a successful outcome look like for you?" You have accepted the small fact. The detail was missed, an ego sacrifice. And in doing so, you have seized control of the timeline. You have made the past irrelevant. You have made the present solution the only topic on the table. You have just pivoted the entire conversation from blame to collaboration. 3. The consequence question, the gentle mirror. This is the advanced move. This is the tool you use when the other person is being irrational, making threats, or pushing for an unacceptable solution. They say, "If you don't do this, I'm walking." The reactor says, "Fine, go." Escalation. The architect asks, "If you do that, what do you hope to accomplish?" Or, "Let's walk that path out. If you walk, what happens next for you? What happens next for us?" You are not accepting their threat. You are not fighting it. You are forcing them to visualize the consequences of their own actions. You are holding up a mirror to their own self-destruction. 9 times out of 10, an attacker in a hijack has not thought past the threat. Their threat is a bluff. By calmly asking them to explain their bluff, you expose it as a bad hand. They will almost always be forced to retreat and soften their position. A question is your scalpel. It bypasses the armor of their anger and goes straight to the logic center of their brain. While the reactor is busy having a sword fight, you are performing surgery. Part 3. The definitive response. The calm no. Sometimes the goal is not to de-escalate. Sometimes the goal is not to collaborate. Sometimes the goal is to end the attack. Sometimes the only correct response is to set a final, non-negotiable boundary. This is the power of the controlled no. The reactor's no is a failure. It is aggressive. No, you can't make me. It is apologetic. I'm so sorry. I wish I could, but I can't. It is justified. No, because I have to do this, and then I have this other thing. An aggressive no is a declaration of war. An apologetic or justified no is an invitation to negotiate. It tells the other person, my no is soft. If you push hard enough, you can turn it into a maybe and then a yes. The architect's no is none of these. The architect's no is a calm, firm, neutral statement of fact. It is not an attack. It is not an apology. It is not a negotiation. It is a wall. They ask, I need you to stay late and finish this. Cancel your plans. The architect says, that is not going to work for me. Or, I am not able to do that. Or, simply, no. There is a pause. The silence that follows is your new weapon. They will wait for the justification. They will wait for the apology. You will not give it to them. Your no is the reason. This is terrifying at first. It feels rude. It feels incomplete. But it is the ultimate expression of power. You are communicating that your time, your energy, and your boundaries are yours, and they are not up for debate. When they push, as they will, what do you mean? Why not? You do not take the bait. You do not start justifying. You hold the line. You use the broken record technique we've touched on. As I said, I am not able to do that tonight. I've given you my answer. We can discuss my workload tomorrow, but tonight the answer is no. This is the immovable object. This is the definitive response. You are not asking for respect. You are informing them of what you will and will not accept. This is the power of a chosen response. You are no longer a victim of the conflict, tossed around by the other person's demands. You are the one defining the terms of reality. Silence, questions, a definitive no. This is your new offense. You are not the person who survives confrontations. You are the person who ends them. Theory is a comfort. It is a classroom. It is the practice mat, the flight simulator, the blueprint. For 8 chapters, we have been in the classroom. You have meticulously gathered the tools. You understand the shield of detachment. You have practiced the anchor of your breath. You have learned to diagnose the hidden battlefield and to choose your words with the precision of a surgeon. You have built in your mind the perfect architect. But a blueprint is not a building. A flight plan is not a storm. This chapter is the storm. This is the crucible. This is where theory is set on fire and we find out what is truly real. We are now moving from learning to doing. We are going to take your new skills and place them in the 3 most high-stakes, emotionally volatile scenarios you will ever face. These are the boss battles of emotional control. These are the moments where the average person, the reactor, is guaranteed to fail, to lose control, to burn a bridge, to damage their reputation, or to surrender their dignity. But you are not the average person. Not anymore. Your training has prepared you for this moment. Your mastery will be forged in this fire. The goal is no longer to learn the tools. The goal is to become them. Grace under fire is not a gift. It is not an accident. It is a choice. It is the direct, tangible result of applying your training when the pressure is at its absolute highest. Let us begin. Scenario 1. The personal ambush. A loved one. This is by far the most difficult test you will ever face. In a professional setting, your ego is on the line. With a stranger, your pride is on the line. With a loved one, a partner, a parent, a child, a best friend, your heart is on the line. The triggers are not new, they are ancient. The emotional grooves are not just grooves, they are canyons, carved over years or decades of shared history. The person standing opposite you is not an opponent, they are a part of your identity. They know your weaknesses. They installed half of your emotional tripwires. When they launch an attack, it is not an ambush from a stranger. It is a betrayal from inside your own walls. The scene. It is evening. You are at home with your partner. The tension has been building for days. You are both tired. You make a small mistake. You forget to pay a bill. You are late coming home. You miss a social cue. It is the smoke. The attack. Your partner, who has been holding in a sea of unspoken resentment, explodes. You always do this. You never think. It's like I'm not even here. I have to do everything myself. I just can't count on you. I'm so sick of it. The reactor response, the failure. The words always and never hit you like a physical blow. The injustice is white hot. Your amygdala detonates. Your shield vaporizes. "That's a lie," you shout, matching their volume. "That is so unfair. I always back you up. What about last week when you—" And you are off. The next 2 hours are a scorched earth battle of who did what, a courtroom drama of past grievances, a shouting match of escalating venomous accusations. You are both fighting to be right. The smoke, the forgotten bill, is forgotten. You are now fighting the real fire, a decade of perceived slights. You may win the argument, you may get an apology, but you have both lost. You have inflicted new wounds. You have reinforced the cycle of destruction. You have proven once again that you are incapable of handling each other's pain. The architect response, the mastery. The words hit you. You always do this. You feel the gut punch of the hijack, the heat in your chest, the defensive rage. You observe it. Chapter 3, The Shield. Internal monologue. There it is, the hijack. This is not an attack. This is a performance of pain. They are not angry. They are hurting. The words always and never are the smoke. They are a lie. I must find the fire. Step 1. Anchor. Chapter 4. You do not speak. You perform the sovereign pause. You inhale silently through your nose, drawing the air down. You hold for 1 second. You exhale slowly and invisibly. You plant your feet on the floor. You are a mountain. You will not be moved by this wind. Step 2. Ego. Chapter 5. Your ego screams, defend yourself. You are not a bad partner. You are right. Prove it. You silence the ego. You choose. Internal monologue. My goal is not to be right. My goal is not to win this argument. My goal is to save this connection. My goal is to understand. You have just sacrificed your ego for effectiveness. Step 3. Diagnose. Chapter 7. You are now in the director's chair, observing the scene. You listen to the music, not the lyrics. The lyrics. You, always, never. I'm sick of it. An accusation. The music. The voice is high, tight, and cracking. It is the sound of desperation and fear. The diagnosis. The unmet need is not logic. It is connection and security. The true message is, I feel alone. I feel unseen. I am scared that I am not important to you. Step 4. Respond. Chapter 6 and 8. You have held the strategic silence. Chapter 8. Your lack of escalation is a pattern interrupt. They are braced for a fight, but you are offering calm. You deploy the verbal sponge. Chapter 6. You do not defend. You absorb and validate. You say in a low, calm, slow voice, "I can see how much pain you're in right now. It sounds like you feel completely alone in this, like you're carrying everything by yourself and I'm not even here." This is a stun grenade. You have not agreed that you always fail. You have not accepted their facts. You have perfectly validated their emotion. You have just spoken directly to their unmet need, connection. You see the shock in their eyes. The fire instantly drops from a 10 to a 6. You probe with a question. Chapter 8. You ignore the smoke, the bill. You said you feel like you can't count on me. Tell me more about that. What does that feel like? You have just invited them deeper into the real problem. They will now talk. And this time, it won't be an attack. It will be a confession of their fear. You listen. You just absorb. You are the anchor. Finally, you use the I statement. I understand now. When I forgot the bill, it wasn't about the money. It was the message you received. It felt like I was telling you that you don't matter. That was not my intention, and I am sorry for that. I am here. We are a team. The outcome? There is no fight. The war is over before the first shot was fired. You have not won an argument. You have healed a wound. You have taken a moment of certain destruction and transformed it into a moment of profound intimacy. You have not just avoided a conflict. You have strengthened your relationship. This is grace under fire. Scenario 2. The professional ambush. A meeting. This is the test of ego and status. The stakes are your credibility, your reputation, and your career. The attack is public, designed to make you small so the attacker can look big. The scene. You are in a high-stakes meeting, presenting your work to executives and your peers. You are in the middle of a key slide. A colleague, David, interrupts you. The attack. I'm sorry, but I have to stop you. His tone is not sorry. It is sharp. I've reviewed these projections, and frankly, I don't see how you got here. Your data seems flawed, and you've clearly failed to account for the new market trends. This whole strategy is built on a house of cards. The reactor response, the failure. A jolt of pure hot panic. You are humiliated. Your face flushes. Your amygdala floods your system. You freeze. Your mind goes blank. You stare, unable to speak. The silence is deafening. Or you fight. What? No, the data is sound. You stammer, your voice high-pitched and defensive. You're not understanding the model. If you'd let me explain. It's over. You sound emotional, weak, and unprepared. David, by being calm and aggressive, looks like the authority, even if he is wrong. You have lost the room. Your credibility is shattered. The architect response, the mastery. The words hit you. This whole strategy is built on a house of cards. You feel the white-hot flash of public humiliation, the urge to defend or disappear. You observe it. Chapter 3, The Shield. Internal monologue. This is an ambush. This is a performance. This is not about the data. This is about status. David is trying to win. Step 1. Anchor. You immediately go to your anchor. You are standing. You plant your feet. You feel your heels on the floor. You take a silent inhale. You hold the sovereign pause for 2 seconds. You exhale, slowly. Your body is a rock. Step 2. Ego. Your ego is screaming louder than it ever has. He's making you look like a fool. Destroy him. Prove he is wrong. Win, win. You starve the ego. This is the critical choice. Internal monologue. My goal is not to prove David wrong. My goal is not to win this fight. My goal is to command this room and maintain my credibility. I will sacrifice this battle to win the war. Step 3. Diagnose. You are the director. You see David. You see his aggressive posture, leaning in, his hard stare. The diagnosis. The unmet need is significance. He is trying to establish his dominance by diminishing yours. He is behaving like a primate. Step 4. Respond. Chapter 6 and 8. You hold the silence, Chapter 8, for a beat longer than is comfortable. You do not look at your notes. You do not look at the screen. You turn, slowly, and look directly at David. You are not angry. You are curious. Then you deploy the ultimate ego-disarming tool. You thank him. In a calm, low, slow voice, Chapter 6, you say, "Thank you, David. I appreciate you bringing that up." This is a nuclear pattern interrupt. You have just fed his need for significance. You have not fought him. You have validated his interruption. The entire room, which was braced for a dogfight, just exhaled. Now you use the logic probe question, Chapter 8. To make sure I'm on the same page, which specific dataset did you feel was flawed? You have just handed the burden back to him. You are no longer on defense. He is. He stammers. Well, the projections for Q4. You control the frame. You pivot, Chapter 8. That's a very detailed point. I'm happy to go into the raw data with you one-on-one after this meeting, so we don't take up everyone else's time. You have just subtly re-established your authority, framing his point as a distraction from the group's valuable time. You continue, but for the purposes of this high-level strategy, the key takeaway is, and you turn away from him. You turn back to the executives. You continue your presentation. The outcome? You never fought. You never defended. You never once looked flustered. You looked unshakable. You took a public attack, thanked the attacker, validated his ego, postponed his challenge on your terms, and retook command of the room. Who looks like the leader? You. Who looks like a petty, disruptive subordinate? David. You have just won, decisively, by refusing to fight. This is grace under fire. Scenario 3. The public confrontation, a stranger. This is the test of pure detachment. There is no shared history, there is no career on the line. There is only your ego versus a random, chaotic variable. The scene. You are at an airport security line. It is crowded, stressful. You are putting your bags on the belt. A man behind you shoves his bin forward, hitting you. The attack. "Move it," he barks. "Some of us have a plane to catch. Stop holding everyone up." He is loud. People turn. The reactor response, the failure. The injustice is immediate. "Hey, back off. I'm moving as fast as I can. You don't have to shove me, you jerk." Now you are in a scene. You are that guy. You are in a public shouting match with an unstable stranger. Your adrenaline is spiking. Your entire day is ruined. You win nothing. You both lose. The architect response, the mastery. The shove comes. The words hit you. You feel the jolt of surprise and anger. You observe it. Chapter 3, the shield. Internal monologue. This is not about me. I am a random object in this person's path. This is his storm, not mine. This has zero to do with me. Step 1. Anchor. Chapter 4. You breathe. You feel your feet on the floor. Step 2. Ego. Chapter 5. Your ego screams, "He disrespected you. In public, put him in his place. Show him you're not weak." You starve the ego. Internal monologue. What is my goal? My goal is to get through security and catch my flight. Will engaging this angry, unpredictable man help me achieve my goal? No. It will do the opposite. You have chosen effectiveness over pride. Step 3. Diagnose. Chapter 7. You are the director. You see the man. His face is red. His bag is bursting. He is sweating. The diagnosis? He is a cauldron of fear and stress. His unmet need is security. He is terrified of missing his flight. He is not an attacker. He is a victim of his own panic. Step 4. Respond, Chapter 6 and 8. You have a choice of controlled responses. Option A, the strategic silence, the void. This is the master-level move. You slowly turn your head, you look at him, not with anger, not with fear. You look at him with a calm, neutral, disinterested gaze. You hold it for 1 second, and then you turn away. You say nothing. You offer 0 words. You offer 0 energy. You return to your bags. You have just communicated non-verbally. You do not exist. Your chaos cannot touch me. You are irrelevant. His anger has hit a void. It has nothing to burn. He will feel foolish. He will shut down. Option B, the calm no, the boundary. If he escalates, "Did you hear me?" You turn. You use your controlled voice, low, slow, calm. You say, "I am not going to argue with you." It is not a request. It is a statement of fact. It is a wall. You turn back to your bags. Option C, the shocking de-escalation, strategic empathy. You turn to him. You see his panic. You say, in a calm, collaborative voice, "This line is a nightmare, isn't it? Let's hope we all make it." You have not accepted his blame. You have validated his underlying emotion, the stress, and joined him on the same team, us versus the line. He is so disarmed he cannot respond. The outcome. In all 3 architect scenarios, the result is the same. The conflict is over. It is neutralized. You did not escalate. You did not surrender. You preserved your dignity, your calm, and your objective. You chose not to be a victim of someone else's chaos. You walked through the fire, and you did not get burned. This is the test. The tools are not just tools. They are your new identity. The storm will come. The ambush will happen. The attack is inevitable. The only question that matters is the one you have now answered. Who will you be when it arrives? You will be the architect. You will be the anchor. You have come to the end of our journey together, but it is the beginning of yours. Let us go back for a moment to the person who began this audiobook. The person who, in the quiet, honest moments after a confrontation, was hollowed out by regret. The person who felt that sickening, white-hot flash of a hijack, or that cold, paralyzing freeze of a mind gone blank. The person who has burned bridges. The person who has been run over. The person who felt at the mercy of their own emotions, a puppet pulled by the strings of their own triggers. That person is no longer you. They are the reactor. They are the hothead. They are the non-confrontational victim. And they are a myth. They are a ghost. They are a story you used to tell yourself. What we have done over these last 9 chapters is not just hand you a set of tools. We have not given you a simple checklist to run through when you get angry. You can find that in any basic self-help book. That is not our work here. Our work has been far more profound. Our work has been transmutation. It has been about taking the raw, chaotic, and destructive energy of the reactor and forging it into the calm, deliberate, and invincible power of the architect. This final chapter is about integration. It is about the moment the training wheels come off. It is about the final, critical step where the skills you have been practicing are no longer things you do. They are, quite simply, who you are. This is the birth of the unshakable self. Think of the first time you learned a complex skill, learning to drive a car, learning to play an instrument. In the beginning, every action was a conscious, clumsy, painful effort. You had to think, check the mirror, hands at 10 and 2, apply gentle pressure to the pedal, signal. You were a person doing driving. It felt unnatural. It was exhausting. Then, one day, you got in the car, and you just drove. You didn't think about the pedal. You didn't practice checking the mirror. You just did it. You were no longer a person doing driving. You were a driver. The skills had integrated. They had moved from your conscious, struggling mind to your automatic, competent self. This is the path you are on. When you first started this journey, the sovereign pause was a technique. You had to remember to do it. Starving the ego was a conscious, painful choice to bite your tongue. Diagnosing the hidden battlefield was an analytical checklist. But you have practiced. You have applied the tools. You have stepped into the fire. And soon, perhaps in the very next confrontation you face, something magical will happen. The attack will come. And you will not think, "I must raise my shield." Your shield will already be there. You will not think, "I must anchor my breath." You will already be breathing. You will not think, "I must sacrifice my ego's need to be right." You will already be focused on the objective. The pause, the detachment, the diagnosis, the calm. It will all happen in a single, fluid, automatic instant. It will no longer be a technique you are applying. It will be a reflex you have earned. In that moment, you will have achieved unconscious competence. You will have ceased to be a reactor practicing to be an architect. You will simply be the architect. What does this new identity feel like? First, it is the glorious, profound end of regret. You will walk away from a high-stakes confrontation, and you will, for the first time, nothing. There will be no replaying the scene in your mind for hours. No, "I should have said." No, "Why did I let them?" There will be no shaky, adrenaline-laced hangover. There will be no cold wave of shame. There will be no apology to make. You will walk away and your mind will be quiet. You will feel a calm, centered, and profound certainty. You will know that you did not lose. You will know that you did not win in the ego's hollow way. You will know that you handled it. You acted with honor. You acted with strategy. You acted with grace. The war with yourself is over. You have brokered a permanent internal peace. The second and most profound change is this. You will no longer fear confrontation. This does not mean you will seek it. The architect is not a brawler. They are a master of peace. But you will no longer dread it. You will no longer wake up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding because you know you have to have a difficult conversation tomorrow. You will no longer avoid giving feedback, asking for the raise, or setting the boundary. Why? Because you will have finally realized that the confrontation is not the threat. The only threat was ever your own loss of control. And that is no longer a variable. You have taken it off the table. You now know with absolute certainty that you can step into any emotional storm, an ambush in the boardroom, a personal attack from a loved one, and you will not be hijacked. You will not be consumed. You will not lose yourself. When you are no longer afraid of your reaction, you cease to be afraid of their action. The conflict is no longer a threat. It is just an event. It is a conversation. It is a problem to be solved, a dance to be navigated. And you, finally, know the steps. Your self-worth, your dignity, your identity. It is no longer on the line. It is no longer up for negotiation. It is not a chip you are gambling. It is the house. It is the foundation. It is yours. It is unshakable. But this transformation is not just for you. The mastery you have cultivated is not a selfish act. It is a gift to every single person you interact with. This is the radiating effect of the unshakable self. Think of your relationships, your partner, your friends, your family. For their entire lives, when they have felt a storm of fear or anger, they have brought it to you, and you have responded with a storm of your own. You have met their panic with your defensiveness. You have met their anger with your escalation. Now they will bring you their chaos, and they will find calm. They will bring you their fear, and they will find strength. They will bring you their anger, and they will find understanding. You will, for the first time, be able to truly listen to the people you love. You will be able to hear their hidden battlefield, to diagnose their unmet need, to validate their pain, without making it about your ego. You will stop being a combatant in their life and become a safe harbor. You will become the person they run to in a crisis, not the person they hide from. The trust, the intimacy, and the respect that will grow from this foundation is deeper than anything you have ever known. You will not just save your relationships, you will transform them. Now, think of your career. In the world of work, chaos is the norm. Meetings are filled with clashing egos, hidden agendas, and unspoken fears. The reactor is lost in this world. They are the ones who get emotional, who get defensive, who are seen as difficult or weak. You will be different. You will be the one in the chaotic 12-person meeting who does not get hooked. You will be the one who absorbs the tension. You will be the one who listens to all the warring factions, diagnoses the real problem hidden beneath the three fake ones, and then, with a single, calm, pivoting question, you will redirect the entire room. People will not just listen to you, they will rely on you. They will subconsciously begin to see you as the leader, regardless of your title. Why? Because leadership is not a title on a business card. Leadership is not the loudest voice in the room. Leadership is the most stable center of gravity. Leadership is the ability to absorb the chaos of the group and produce clarity and calm. You will be trusted with high-stakes projects. You will be pulled into critical negotiations. You will be promoted, not because you demanded it, but because your presence will have become indispensable. Your calm is not just a shield, it is your new authority. This is the great, quiet power of the architect. You will achieve more in your career and in your life, not by pushing harder, not by being louder, but by being stronger, by being calm, by being unshakable. In the end, this is the ultimate reward. It is not the better job. It is not the smoother relationships. It is not the win. It is the profound, deep, and permanent inner peace that comes from knowing that you are the master of your own self. The world will continue to be a chaotic, confrontational, and stressful place. People will continue to be reactive, emotional, and unpredictable. This will not change. What has changed is you. You have taken the one, single, solitary thing in this universe you have any control over, your own response, and you have mastered it. You are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are the mountain. You are no longer a victim of the storm. You are the eye of it. This is not an end. This is a beginning. This is the first day of your new life as the unshakable self. The work is not over. It is a practice. It is a daily choice to be the architect. It is a daily discipline. But the blueprint is in your hands. The tools are in your possession. You have done the work. You are the forge. The next confrontation is coming. It is inevitable. The only difference is, this time, you are ready. This is not a threat anymore. It is an opportunity to practice, an opportunity to lead, an opportunity to show the world and yourself who you have truly become.